Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports. We do have the gang with us. Give us a sec for the rest of us to tune in here. One guy's kind of in and out. Hello from Alfred Station. Man, likewise, Senior. We missed you too, man. Good to see you. We got a lot to talk about this week. Interesting weekend coming up. Let's see what we can do about getting Andy in. But in the meantime, Gary, how are you?
Yeah, it looks like some technical difficulties, but we'll stand by. We'll get Flint in here in any minute. I'm doing good, man. Apologies to all you out there for not getting the show out on Tuesday. Adulthood can interfere sometimes, so making a return route here on Friday, and we'll cover week 2 and preview week 3, and should be a good show.
Definitely a good show. So let's just jump right into it while we're waiting on Andy to join in here. Let's talk a little bit about last weekend.
Yeah, I'll get it pulled up here. I'm not sure what's going on with him. Anyway.
Somebody's near a train as well. So
that's me in the background, of course, this time of night.
Yeah, that's sweet. All right, so first one we definitely want to jump into is just Kansas City at the Chargers. Andy taking the W on this one this week. And, Kansas City Chiefs on the road. What are your takeaways from this, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different takeaways here. And one of the biggest ones is the Herbert injury, right? And it's kind of twofold. One, you see how tough the guy is. One play he's trying to scramble out of the pocket and can't even really throw the ball away. He needed 1 yard for a first down and literally just dumped the ball because he was hurting so bad. And then on the very next play on a 4th and 1, he throws a fucking laser beam, 35-yard completion down inside the 10-yard line. Just nails, and that's the kind of thing you want to see from your franchise quarterback. You don't want him getting hurt, but if he's going to be nicked and he's going to be that tough, that's a guy that you can win with late in the season. That's a guy you can win these knockdown, drag out, slobber knocker type of fights, here in the NFL. And it became more of a defensive struggle than I think anybody really anticipated. The Chiefs' defense did a pretty good job of capitalizing on just some kind of mental mistakes from the Chargers. The offensive line was missing a lot of pretty simple blitz concepts, but it seemed like Spags had figured out some things to attack on the Chargers offensive line. And, for him, he's a guy that has a reputation for that kind of thing. And the Chargers couldn't answer the bell. And you see what happens when you can't answer the bell and you let guys just hit your quarterback. You get a guy he's not small, right? He's a big, sturdy guy, but he gets injured. And, he's questionable this week. Chase Daniel is taking some first-team reps in practice. And, you hope that he can play, but if he misses any significant time, that's a big hit for the Chargers team that I believe both you and I picked to win the division. So, Chiefs, yeah, look, I know there's a lot of people ready for the Chiefs to fall off, right? And I think they have a little bit. I think that they missed Tyreek Hill more than their 2-0 record says. We saw it in the game against the Chargers. They weren't really threatening the Chargers deep. The Chargers couldn't capitalize on mistakes by Mahomes. He got away with 4 really, really bad throws, really bad decisions. One, you got a kind of phantom defensive holding. And, it was really kind of offensive PI. But that erased an Asante Samuel.
Dan the man.
Hey, Dan. What's up, buddy? And then Asante Samuel drops a pick. They dropped 2 other picks. Mahomes got away with 4 bad throws.
Well,
that game could have been very different. And it happens in every game.
I'm with you, but I also, Free Senior kind of hit the nail on the head. I don't know about I had hoped, but Chiefs seem to be doing better than I had hoped. I want them to do well. I like the team. I'm a Mahomes fan myself, so I want them to do well. But they're doing much better than I expected them to. So there was definitely some mistakes that were spared. There was some mercy shown by an unprepared Chargers defense, and so yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the bad defense kind of got the better of them because any of those are game changing,
Well, the one that got erased by the bad penalty is you're up 10-3, I believe it was, and you have the ball and you're moving the ball. Or I think it was
Colin,
17.
good evening.
Hey, buddy. And you're changing really the game, and then the Chiefs go score a touchdown. It changes the game when things like that happen. But the one that got overturned on review, I thought was kind of a suspect call as well.
Yeah.
And I know there's the conspiracy theorists out there saying, "Oh, Mahomes threw an interception. The NFL's got to find a way to erase it." But sometimes these things happen. I love the shit on refs, but
I can tell you 4 in one night would be egregious. So
yeah, it's tough, man.
Colts
yeah, Colin, we're going to talk about the Colts. We're going to talk about how bad they are. And
I've got some crow to eat here. Yeah,
I'm going to take a little victory lap here on the Colts in a minute.
Yeah, all right, dude. Let's fucking move on. Anyways, let's get into the next matchup here for the week.
Yeah, for sure. And when Andy gets back in, I want to get his thoughts on Chiefs Chargers because he was the one that was very strong about they're not going to miss Tyreek, and they never did.
Hey, I'm just trying to be.
Curious to hear his thoughts when he gets in, but
I'm really just trying to be a good clock manager. So,
absolutely.
Miami and Baltimore. Miami, I'm looking forward to talking to tonight. But let's talk about good clock management here. And 42-38. And Gary, it wasn't an unsafe bet, but me and Andy taking the W there.
Yeah, for sure. The Ravens kind of gave this one away late. Yeah. Miami capitalized and took advantage of, a Ravens team that seemed to go into a little bit of a shell. Tua had a fucking monster day.
Yeah.
460, I think it was, and 6 tutties. And I know Andy kind of brought this one up as a game he wanted to talk about, but, in his stead, I think he wants to talk probably about the Dolphins and how many weapons they've got. And the Ravens, just the AFC North doesn't look great. So what are your thoughts on this one here?
So, for starters, we got to see Tua produce a viable offense. And I think that it's something that we get to see the fruits of the labor, the fruits of Tyreek Hill integrated into this offense. And Dan, we're definitely going to answer that question. So, good friend Dan here has got some fantasy woes. He's looking to see, and maybe we can jump. I want to try to at least jump into it once we get Andy on board. But trying to figure out between Tua and Joey Burrow what fantasy QB to pick and why. So I've chosen Burrow, but I'm curious to see y'all's opinion on this one. So let me give you just a random stat that just popped up on my news feed earlier tonight. Since 2021. The Miami Dolphins are undefeated against starting quarterbacks whose last names contain the letter O and have lost every game otherwise.
That is a
the 21-point comeback on Sunday kept this streak alive.
That is a magnificent stat pull. Well done.
And I'm foreshadowing my prediction for next week's matchup against Buffalo. So figure out if there's a fucking O in Josh Allen. Okay.
There's at least one. That is a wild stat, but to kind of swing back to, you mentioned Hill, right? And the Dolphins and what they've got going there. Mike McDaniel, the quirky guy, looks like he's got them playing good ball. That's a big time comeback. And man, Waddle and Hill on opposite sides of the field.
Waddle's disgusting.
Such a fucking stress test for any defensive coordinator.
That man fucking ate last weekend, dude.
They can just disappear for sure. Yeah, Dan Rain, man. He's so quirky for sure. So quirky.
Absolutely. So either way, great matchup though, and I guess we'll see when the ginger assassin decides to grace us with his presence.
Keep the seat warm for those 2 games for him.
Yeah. Onward and upward here. Just kind of a garbage can fest here as we're unified with Cleveland. And what's the most Cleveland thing to do than to lose to the fucking Jets? So
and blow a 13-point lead in the last minute 36 too.
You were making Flacco look good. And
Jesus Christ.
This is unbelievable. And I don't know that there's a reason why we're just going to move on from it. This is just, they're both in woes. So the Washington Commanders having to put up a hell of a battle in the last half to really try to get to where they ended up here. As they go down to the Detroit Lions, absolute dominance from the Detroit defense. From them, look, Amatse Brown, dude, come on. I mean, that was. I didn't think I'm sorry.
Jared
I didn't think Jared Goff could look good.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best way for any offense to look good is to play against Jack Del Rio. I don't understand.
No, that's such a cop out, man.
No, it's the truth though. We are an awful defense.
Right.
Defense. Goff's fine. I think that offense has some potential. I've said it on the show. I think they're a dark horse playoff team, but I watch and I see linebackers covering wide receivers on 3rd and long. I see zone coverages that are 5 yards past the first down marker. We're at the goal line playing zone defense 5 yards deep in the end zone.
Yeah, totally.
This is a disaster
you're giving up the line of scrimmage.
Epic proportions. And, the Lions scored on just about every fucking drive they had. You can't win like that. No matter how much offense you get, you can't win like that. And like Scott Turner went away from everything that worked in week 1 on offense, and Wentz. I know everybody tries to like pin everything on him, but that safety, I see people saying like, oh, he took that safety and fumbled in the end zone. Dude, he didn't even get to the top of his drop. The offensive line doesn't want to play for Scott Turner. They don't want to play for Ron or something. There's a lack of effort, there's a lack of execution, and there's a lack of preparation from the coaching staff. Washington is probably going to end the season as the most talented 4-win team maybe that's ever played the game, honestly. They are so talented on offense, especially at every single fucking skill position. Jahan Dotson is a killer. Terry McLaurin is a killer. Curtis Samuel is a fucking weapon. Yeah. Antonio Gibson is running like he wants to keep the starting job. Logan Thomas is one of the probably 5, 6, 7 best tight ends in football. And Carson Wentz, for all of his deficiencies that people love to give him shit for, he can throw the ball a country mile and he makes a bonehead play here and there. But you can't get sacked before you get to the top of your drop. And then everybody just say, oh, Carson Wentz is a bad quarterback. Like, he didn't even have a chance. But we got Andy back. Let's circle back to Kansas City, LA, and talk a little Miami, Baltimore, because I know that was a game he wanted to talk about. Andy, what'd you think? Kansas City, LA.
LA's not that good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's so early. It's almost one of those unfair things. Yeah, they have their opportunities. I feel like good seasoned football teams get shit done, and they didn't.
They chargered it again.
Yeah.
All right, talk Miami and Baltimore. I know you wanted to highlight that one.
Yeah, no, I wanted to, talk to a time. It's crazy, right? I mean, everybody's written this guy off essentially as being, he can't throw the football. Tyreek Hill won't matter. He's arguably got the best 1-2 punch in the league right now, so that's something big, and they get it done against a team that I figured was going to be a good football team. I wouldn't want to blame Lamar Jackson for that loss. A lot of people are, but it seems it's just a little short-sighted.
Agreed. It's always the quarterback, right?
But, the interesting thing about Tua is he's never had a losing record in his life.
Yeah. That's nuts. So, and Dan, you know what, sir? You're wrong, because Dan the man is not quite written off Tua. He's in kind of a fantasy battle now that we got you here. Dan Anglin, good friend of mine in the neighborhood, has a question about fantasy. He's stuck between Joey Burrow and Tua for this weekend.
I don't know that you start Tua.
My pick was Burrow because I like the lineup with the Jets. The reservation, I think, with Tua is that Bills' defense is down 5 or 6. So
yeah, he plays
and they're playing at home.
They're giving up no points.
I mean,
they're giving up no points. So I don't know. I can't. Yeah, that's fine.
Hey.
They had a lot of them. I saw.
Waddle is fucking wild.
Listen, we could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see somebody score something against the Bills.
Yeah.
But at this point, like,
I should have expected nothing less. So then, are we here unanimous for Burrow?
Yeah, you got to start Burrow
Gary?
as much as it hurts my feelings.
It's the matchup for me, for sure. I just, the Bills defense, even without Ed Oliver and Tim Settle last week, they were still monsters. I know you're looking at, one of the all-pro safeties being down, the other one being nicked up, but that pass rush is unreal right now. Von Miller, Phillips, they're getting after it. So I just think that makes a difference. And I go Burrow because they're playing the Jets too. The Jets defense is just not there.
Long live the Tiger King. And
don't kill us though when Burrow.
Like I said in the
9 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think the Bengals are on a little bit of a mission too. Burrow came out and said, "Hey, everybody, relax." I think this weekend they're going to try to put something on the board that they can really be proud of.
Yeah, Lyle Collins, after first signing with the Bengals, said, "Your new bodyguard is in town. Nobody's touching you," and that is not aged well, Lyle. And that sucks because I was such a Lyle Collins fan whenever he played for the Cowboys. That fucking 450-pound M1A1 Assault Abrams tank of a human being.
Yes, Garrett Wilson is legit.
Yeah, for sure. You've got to. He needs help, but yeah.
You can only do what you can do. I mean, there's multiple guys on that line that comprise, the moving pieces in and out too between the starters and the second string guys. You got to
takes time to gel too.
You can't be on pace to get sacked 111 times.
I know that's not good. They made a lot of changes this offseason, so I think you're looking at a team that they need to gel up front. And Burrow needs to start getting the ball out quicker.
Well, and that's probably the argument at this point is
100%.
Burrow holding the ball too long. But I mean, David Carr holds the record. And
Kyler Murray just held a hell of a record for holding on to a ball this weekend. Something like 20 seconds.
20 seconds on that last play.
Unbelievable.
Well, remember he had that play. It was against the Bills.
The Bills, that Hail Mary, yeah.
That like Hopkins ball. I don't know how long he held it, but somebody said. I saw a thing where somebody said Kyler Murray runs around in the backfield like a kid who just like took his parents' keys.
His final scramble to the end zone looked like both of my kids as toddlers.
He just grabs something and fucking takes off with it.
100%. Listen, guys, I did want to talk about it. I know that it wasn't one of our highlighted ones, but we were just right when you were coming in, Andy. We were talking about Detroit and their performance this weekend. It was fucking great to watch, man. Dominant.
So I was a little pissed. I was at my brother's wedding.
Of course you were, you fucking insufferable bastard.
I was at my brother's wedding. God damn it, Jacob.
It's a great game
on a Sunday. The Lions don't get many wins, and you deprived me of one.
Yeah.
So, I was trying to check in when I could. I was in the wedding, so it was tough. But it was 22-0. Sorry, Gary. For a while.
Yeah.
I don't think Washington played very good football. I think the thing for the Lions is they played probably that's about as good as they can play. And I thought they really did the same against Philly. They played pretty well. They scored 35 points. The defense is really bad. All the talent on the defense is young, so they're going to struggle there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I kind of threw a little shade at this guy. Not like extreme shade, but I did compare him to like Stevie Johnson. So now that he's tied like Michael Thomas and people like that with the consecutive receptions or something.
He just catches 9-10 balls a game.
Touchdowns 9 games in a row.
Yeah, 100 yards, fucking 8 games in a row.
I think
he's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan says there's some football happening in 313. 100% agreed. It's kind of crazy, and honestly, going into this season, we talked about kind of the shakeup that we're seeing in the NFC North with Green Bay not having this like exclusive control that they've had in years past. Detroit has never once been in that
I don't know.
that conversation in my head.
Minnesota this past weekend said not so fast about Green Bay not having control.
That's the thing though too is like I don't think Detroit will ever get beat because they don't play hard.
Yeah,
I think they're going to play hard every week. They're very motivated.
Clear cut that it was Minnesota, right? Like Chicago and Detroit has never entered the chat in my mind when I think of the NFC North. And then now I'm looking at this weekend and I'm like, fuck, they could make a play at a wild card spot.
Well, no, the only time the Lions have really been powerful, the Green Bay was like a 13-win team, happened like 2 times in the past 10 or 12 years.
Yeah,
no, I don't know. I'm not going to go there. I don't think that's there yet. But if the division ends up being a shit show all year,
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm kind of banking on. I think going into week 3, if we see some more shakeups like what we've seen last weekend, there's something fucking wrong in the system. There's a glitch in the matrix, and we need to be fully prepared for things like the Lions having a chance at least a wild card slot. I'm not saying they need to secure the division, but they could possibly. I don't know what their schedule looks like.
I think they
play like they
did
last weekend. Holy shit!
They can score in the 30s against probably anybody because they're, they have a. I saw somebody said something about a top 3 running back. That's probably a little. I think they might have a top 3 running game.
Yeah.
They have some depth there with Williams. Swift is great when he's healthy.
I think Dan might be asking if he's going to be a top 3 this year.
No, he could be. The thing that's going to always worry you with Swift is he's always kind of beat up, and then the offensive line is really good. So I think that team can keep up with teams. They really are right now. Again, I'm a big advocate of the first few weeks are weird. But if you look at it, the Bills have the most offensive points at 72, and then it's the Chiefs and the Lions at 71. So, do I expect that to hold? No, but we'll see. I mean, the Minnesota game with Detroit this week could be big, placing of the division because I know at least a couple of us expected Minnesota to win that division. So. Yeah. They're not looking so hot.
Yeah, I think the exact point you just made, Andy, about DeAndre, though, is what I was going to say. Like, I think talent-wise, he's probably top 3 to 5 in the league in terms of being a dual threat and being able to be kind of a bell cow back, but always nicked up. Always.
He's on the injury report every week.
That's a franchise.
I wish Detroit was playing Minnesota in prime time because that's where Cousins does his best work.
Yep.
All right, on to the next one. And here we go. Jacksonville, dude, shutting out Indianapolis. I mean, Andy is going to have his little plate of crow to eat here, but I think I probably got the biggest plate of crow to eat here for what we've just witnessed this past weekend. Okay, so listen, hey, to the friends and fans of Backyard Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports Media, LLC. I failed. Matt Ryan is not going to be good, and that's okay for Indy because they do have options, and they will recover from that. There's way more wrong with Indy, though, than just the quarterback situation. So, in other news, I will quickly highlight Sunshine's hell of a performance, a defensive stand down. Duval was in full fucking Duval mode this last weekend, and it was a fucking tough go for Indianapolis. Andy, what do you got to throw onto that? I mean, what are we thinking about Matt Ryan here?
No, I mean, I definitely thought Matt Ryan was going to be an upgrade to Wentz. That's not really me saying anything about Matt Ryan. It's more me saying I don't think Carson. I first week of football when I was talking to a couple buddies of mine watching the games, I was saying they were like, "Oh, you think Wentz is washed up?" And I was like, "I don't think Wentz is even washed up. I never thought Wentz was that good. I thought he had like that one really good season. He was the MVP talks, and I'll always probably mark that up to like a Josh Freeman season, if you guys remember Josh Freeman.
Yeah. Won a fantasy Super Bowl with that guy.
Oh, dude, like people were talking about like, is he the best quarterback in this draft with like Sanchez, who had went to a couple of AFC championships and Stafford obviously in that draft. But and then Freeman fell off the map. I never really thought Wentz was as good as how he played that one season. And while I think Matt Ryan is definitely past his gate, I thought he would be a little bit better. My biggest thing for the Colts was I was relying on
Facebook.
I was relying on the Colts defense to kind of come back to life to what they were 2 years ago, and that's clearly not going to be a thing for them. That defense, I don't know if it was a fluke 2 years ago, but they were pretty bad last year, and they've been pretty awful this year. Like, you tie the Texans, you lose to the Jags. I mean,
and they were fortunate to tie the Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah, they were.
I don't know. That team looked like they were on the cusp a couple of years ago of, the Phillip Rivers, and it was like, oh, maybe if they had somebody better than Phillip Rivers, they'd make a little noise, and now they just kind of suck all around.
So let's now pass the floor to Gary for his victory lap. Go ahead, sir. And I need the royalty wave as we're there it is.
No, I mean, look, Matt Ryan looks through 2 weeks exactly what I got criticized for saying. He's washed. He is washed, and it's a combination of both. Matt Ryan is past what Matt Ryan was, and they have no fucking weapons. And that was another reason why I said the Colts were not going to be an upgrade. Quarterback was not the problem last year. Andy, you mentioned the defense underachieved. They have nobody to throw the fucking football to anywhere on the field, not named Jonathan Taylor. The Jags had 8 in the box all day, challenging Matt Ryan to find anybody to throw to. Matt Ryan doesn't have the arm to beat defenses anymore. His mind is probably still fine, but he cannot play the position of quarterback anymore on a level that Jim Irsay should have been out here saying, Matt Ryan's an astronaut. Matt Ryan's a Navy SEAL. We're going to win fucking 17 games this year, and we're going to win the Super Bowl. No, bub, because you've built a dog shit roster. And that's what my entire rant in the offseason about Matt Ryan not being an upgrade over Wentz was about. They're expecting him to come in and make Michael Pittman Jr. a true number one in this league. He's not. And then when you see, they're fortunate to tie the Texans, they don't have Pittman this week. They literally have nobody to throw the ball to because even Pittman wasn't available this weekend, and they couldn't move the ball at all. 8 in the box all day from the Jags. That front four from the Jags is surprisingly one of the better ones in the league through 2 weeks. Obviously, we're only 2 weeks into the season, but they look like they've got some guys up front that can play the game. Dougie P's got them playing good football. They look like, in week 1, yes, they were playing Washington, but they looked like they cared about football a lot more than they did last year. But, man, the Colts are going to struggle. And I said 4 or 5 wins this year. They might even struggle to get to that number, to be honest. With as bad as they've looked so far, things may turn around when they get some, if Pittman is healthy, they might get a little bit on the outside, but they look awful.
Does anybody in that division catch double-digit wins?
No. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, that might be an NFC East from 2020. It might be an 8 and 9 team wins the division.
No, that's what I was thinking. Is anybody 500 now? The way that the season,
the Titans look like they're real bad.
Yeah, they're bad.
If the Jaguars can keep things going in the direction they feel like they're going, and maybe they can sneak 9 wins in a really bad division, they look like the best team in that division through 2 weeks, and they kind of look head and shoulders better than the rest of the division through 2 weeks. And I know that's not saying much because the AFC South is really bad right now. But if they can take 5 or 6 wins in that division and steal a couple outside of it, maybe they get to 9 wins. But I do think 8 and 9 probably wins that division.
So now while you just mentioned the Titans very quickly, because I know that Raul and I picked the Colts, you picked the Titans doing that.
Hey, thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
So the Titans were going to lose the game either way this week, but I had said it during the chat, and I think you guys agreed. Like, I don't know what Vrabel's doing.
I don't think Vrabel knows what
is he a terrible coach, or what is happening here? Because there were things that I could see when I was talking about, like when they threw the ball, when they ran the ball in between the hashes specifically, good things were happening. They were still going to lose by a couple scores, but like they could have kept that game sort of competitive. But to choose to run Derrick Henry on pitch plays every other fucking run against the defense that's coming at you at 50 miles an hour, I don't see how. We know that Henry can move, but it takes him a few yards. Like he needs 3 or 4 yards to get going. He's a big dude, and you continue to just go outside with him. And I said something on Twitter, and I had somebody be like, yeah, but Henry has a ton of success on the outside. Well, yeah, but read the fucking room, pal.
Yeah.
Because this Bills defense is fast as shit. That might be I'm not like, their defense is really good, but I think their strongest suit might be how fucking fast they are. That defense is quick as shit almost at every position. They fly in, they don't miss tackles. So to continue to run Henry outside when he's your main weapon, or there was one play where they were on the goal line and they lined up in shotgun with Henry flanked out left. And I was like, what are we doing here a foot and a half away when you have Derrick Henry? And they threw a lot of like little wide receivers like outs and shit like at the goal line. I don't know, man. Vrabel looked confused. I was confused by what he was doing. It was almost like he didn't know how to respond. I feel like he doesn't know how to switch from what he wants to do. Like he has a game plan, and if it doesn't work, he's just going to go down with it not working.
Going out on his shield. Yeah, I didn't understand a lot of it. They were trying to get a lot of like side to side movement with tight ends and wide receivers as well. Like you said, the Bills defense might be the fastest in the league, and I'm going to say it again. And I know we've talked about this a few times, but they are built to beat a specific type of team. They're built to beat the Chiefs. They're built to beat the teams like the Bucs and now the Dolphins and these teams that are going to drop back and got a lot of speed. The Bills are built to counter that because that's what they've lost to in the playoffs with the Chiefs. And they know they have to compete with that. The Titans should have been lining up in the I formation. I don't care who you put Ferkser in at fucking fullback, run downhill. Settle and Oliver were out. I don't know why you didn't test the middle of that defense. And like you said, late in the game, they were starting to get some chunks in the middle of the field. And then they would just continue to go away from it. Build on something to go into next week, right? Even if you're going to lose the game by a couple of scores, start to build some momentum if you're the Titans. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. And it might be, like you said, Andy, it might just be that he's a guy that goes out on his shield.
Well, Listen, I won't believe ever that when you have this many people working from the booth and the sidelines, that they didn't see the things that were working that I saw or you saw or anybody else saw. So for me to believe that they saw that and to communicate that to, the offensive coordinator and to Vrabel, and for it to just not happen to me is a stubborn kind of stance. And that's how I felt that game went, was like, there's no way all these smart people you've hired, somebody didn't notice that, because I noticed it, and I'm not, I'm not a fucking NFL caliber. So I just feel like Vrabel's just, I don't know.
I think my favorite part of this is the part where we were talking about Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and we ended up on Tennessee. So let's fucking move on. Tampa Bay,
relevant, Raul.
Not surprising to anybody, taking down the Saints at the Saints. And then now we move on to Andy taking the W here as we go to Carolina at New York Giants, and the Giants winning at home. Baker Mayfield,
I picked
Carolina
the Giants 2 weeks in a
McCaffrey.
row. I never saw that coming.
I didn't see you picking the Giants 2 weeks in a row either. I thought we would be unanimous on this Carolina thing, but yeah. Anyways, we would have all been wrong in that case.
What are the Giants doing?
What are the Giants doing?
I don't know. Playing bad teams, maybe? Question mark?
I mean, it definitely seems like they're playing bad teams. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, man.
I mean, Kenny Galladay's killing it.
You know who's not killing it is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. What do we, Gary, you got any thoughts you want to throw in here?
This is surprising, and every so often we get these teams that'll start a season 2-0, 3-0, and you're trying to figure out why, right? And that's sort of what I think we're seeing with the Giants. Like the Titans, they had a lead in week 1 and just kind of fell apart. The Panthers just seem they're in disarray, and I think Matt Rule is like floundering to try to have success because he's got an owner breathing down his neck, and they haven't been able to figure it out. New quarterback, they try to just plug new pieces, and you can't just do that, right? You can't just plug in a new guy every single year and expect, we're just going to be good. So the Browns or the Browns, obviously fucking got over Baker, and now they're probably going to try to take their victory lap here. But the Panthers look like they're in disarray. And the Giants have capitalized on 2 teams that I think kind of gave 2 games away. This week, I think we're going to see really, are the Giants the team that they are that can control the clock and, keep the other team at bay and deal with a good, defensive front. I feel like, Carolina has a pretty good defensive front, and New York seemed to handle it okay. If that Dallas front doesn't get home, maybe the Giants is a surprise team, and the NFC East hasn't had the same team win the division 2 years in a row since like fucking Vietnam. So maybe it's the Giants' year this year.
Yeah, no, they're not good.
I don't disagree with you. It's just weird.
I only picked them against Carolina just based off of mostly what I saw from Carolina in week 1.
And that's fair.
There's no secret there.
That's fair.
All right, on to the next one. I don't know if you wanted to go ahead and jump into it since we're already kind of about to get on the subject of the Steelers, but Mac Jones and the Pats getting the win at Heinz Field, 17-14. Gary on Winner's Island here.
Yeah, I don't.
He is pissed at that dog.
Dude, those fucking dogs keep barking, fucking dickheads. But this was more about the Pittsburgh Steelers and kind of where their offense is right now. I took the under on this game. I figured this was going to be a 2017, 17-14 type of game, and took the under on it. It was like 40. Vegas knew too. So this was kind of how the game I thought would play out. The Steelers just can't score. They don't have a good quarterback. Their offensive line, they're still rebuilding. Najee Harris can't get going because of that offensive line. I think they've got pieces in place, but Mike Tomlin said something today, or actually last night after the game, in response to Mitch Trubisky struggling, that I think should open everybody's eyes to the fact that the Steelers know where they're at right now. He said, like, we're not ready to make a change at quarterback. We know who we are. So to me, that tells me that's a coach that knows they're rebuilding. But man, they've got some pieces, and I know one of those pieces is something that I think we're going to highlight here in just a moment. But this was one of those games.
Deontay Johnson looked good.
Yeah,
I mean that's a pretty bright spot for me. I agree with you completely, though. They can't. Not only can they not generate points, they just can't generate drives consistently. Yeah. And I think when it comes to picking, the games for the week, it was one of those things where I didn't even know who to pick. It was kind of just like a coin flip on that.
I don't disagree.
This week I thought was tough too. I don't know how you guys felt about picking picks for this week, but there was a lot of like, I don't even know how I feel about either.
Yeah, it's a coin flip.
It's tough.
Pittsburgh, they've got some juice again. I think we'll talk about it in a second, but there's some things there, and I think Tomlin's a smart guy.
Where are we at with Najee Harris?
I think he's a little overrated. Like, I think he's a good player. I don't think that he is like the savior player. And I think that's a lot to put on a running back.
Yeah.
But I think that is what people expected. Like, even if the Steelers were struggling, Najee Harris was going to have 100 yards.
A lot of this is the Alabama Roll Tide marketing package that comes with an NFL draft pick.
Sure.
He's talented, but I think with that offensive line, and I think with the lack of weapons around him, he's a volume guy. He's a guy.
He jumped up into like a top 7 fantasy pick this year because of the projections of what he would.
I think everybody thought they were going to rely on him and give him the ball 30 times a game, and he was going to produce. But even last year, he got hot late. But I had him. in a fantasy league, and for 10 weeks, I'm like, God, this guy fucking sucks. And then he got hot late in the season, and maybe that was some of the hype as well. He had a couple of good games late in the season, and he went high in fantasy this year as well. I think he's talented. I think he can be a dude. Andy, you put it perfectly. He's not a savior. But I don't think the NFL right now, I don't think any running back can be a savior. Look what's happening in Indy. They've got hands down the best running back in football. They can't score points against the fucking Jaguars.
I think that's what people thought that they were going to do, though, is Jonathan Taylor and give him the ball 30 times a game.
Sure.
And make him make something happen. But that's not what's happening. I mean, Najee Harris, I don't know what he's run the ball these first few games, but it's not 30 plus.
Right.
Can't be.
So before we get on to the next game, we saw a pretty incredible play this weekend. And this is from the weapon that we've all been kind of hinting at. But George Pickens getting this insane one-handed catch. And it's being compared to arguably the greatest one-handed catch of all time in the catch, the OBJ catch. So where do we feel like this lines up? Let's take the value of the catch out of it, because I do feel like we need to just talk about this from but that's the difference maker. Let's be honest. That's what it is.
That's part of the difference. So if we're taking circumstance out of it, you want to do that, we could do that. Just evaluate the catch.
If it's not a touchdown catch, you're talking about just the catch itself.
If it's not a touchdown that you got interfered on and grabbed and pulled and tackled and then made the catch.
Jesus Christ, Gary, we know, dude. You know, it's like, fuck, bro. 9/11 was 21 years ago, dog. Let it go.
Come on. That was not even a stab at the Cowboys. Relax.
No, yeah, Jesus.
That was me emphasizing the value.
No, that was you embodying a fucking Cowboys.
That was me.
Bro, let it go,
to the value of the catch. He got grabbed, pulled, interfered with, and still made a one-handed catch with 2 fingers.
I know, but like the caveats aren't
take the teams out of it.
I don't care. But anyway, so the value of the catch. Okay. I wasn't talking about I was just saying, like, you can't, like, with the caveats are unnecessary, period, regardless of who they were playing. It's like, fuck, man, it was a long time ago. We know.
I thought it was pretty skilled. Like, if you're obviously.
For sure. I still feel like, given the circumstances, though, OBJ's is still supreme.
Circumstances, it doesn't compare.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I think. You know, my thing where I will go with Pickens a little bit here, I'll give a little credit, a little shine, is that I feel like when you're the taller, longer guy, making a finesse catch like that is a little, like Odell Beckham Jr. is kind of compact, and I get with the stretch being compact and short doesn't play well, but I just feel like they
Pickens
generally
is a
have
big boy.
He's like 6'3".
You typically have more body control. At least the accepted understanding is that when you're a smaller, shorter guy, we can compare this to the NBA. There's not a lot of tall guards.
I was going to go with that. Yeah, like it's
when you're a shorter guy, usually your body control is something
you're a little more fluid.
You're right.
So for Pickens to be kind of, and not to say that guys can't be
right,
like that long prototypical receiver, but that was just. I expected his tentacle to just flail around out there because that guy, he goes 6'3". He's got to have a wingspan of like 6'7". He's a
long guy.
He's an armsy fella.
Yeah.
So I thought that was terrific. However, I mean, he had 39 yards on 3 grabs. So what did Odell Beckham have in that game where he caught that pass for?
That one grab alone was like 56 yards.
Right. So again, I think there's shades of like, oh, this could be great, but I don't know. I'm very impressed with it. But we see this a lot. There's a lot of guys who get like 1 or 2 grabs in a season, and they're
opens your eyes.
Look at, or you get a guy, you can front flip a fucking defender going into the end zone. Was that Simpson? I thought it was Simpson.
No, Simpson.
Or no, it was Simpson? Jerome Simpson.
It was Jerome Simpson. We never heard of that guy ever again. You just didn't even remember who he was.
Right, exactly. I gave his teammate credit.
Right.
I was gonna say I'm not even
Huzmanzada.
Oh, dude, I'm not even gonna lie. The last time I even tried to recall that play to a friend, I was like, "Yeah, it was that fucking Ocho Cinco flipping the end zone," and I was like, "Oh fuck, it wasn't even him.
So yeah, it's. I think at the end of the day, it might go down as one of those things. Like we don't,
it's a great play.
I don't think it does. I think Pickens
I don't even put that up against the fucking Hopkins catch. Like as far as ability and talent, the Hopkins through the legs catch.
Oh yeah, that was silly.
You know what I mean?
Then I'm not counting.
The not catch. Who's that against? Was that against the Dolphins?
Miami.
Yeah.
That's my favorite catch, maybe I think of all time.
Same.
And he didn't even get credit for it.
Well, it's not really even a catch. I mean, it's a catch out back, like with your buddies, but that's not an NFL catch. He did not catch that ball.
Yeah, he did.
Pushed off.
They called OPI on him.
Yeah, well, it was.
I know.
No, for sure.
Still grab that ball. Yeah, that
you go pick that flag up when a guy makes that catch, though.
Oh, yeah. I would have.
You go pick that flag up. Like
I would have picked mine and the other officials' flags up.
I feel like there's just got to be a G code with coaches where everybody just like as soon as something like that happens, like
you just hit the buzzer on your hip. Like don't call it.
No, I think it's head coach to head coach. You need to look at each other and just be like, "You got it." You know what I mean? Like,
I'm declining that penalty.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
No.
But one thing I will say with Pickens, like Andy, you said, like he could become a guy that this is all we see from him. I don't think so. And I know you don't really watch a lot of college football, but these are some of the things that he did that made him such a highly valued guy coming out of Georgia. To talk about the catch, though, specifically, it's so different because OBJ is like falling backwards and the ball is moving in the complete opposite direction. Right. Whereas with Pickens, he's tracking the ball, and I don't want to cheapen the value of it, but as if I'm going to compare it to like making a catch in baseball, right? Because I didn't play wide receiver very much in football, but I did play a lot of outfield
stretch.
I played a lot of outfield in baseball, and this catch going backwards is a lot more difficult than me making this catch. So I don't want to cheapen it, but I will say that like the skill set that's involved in those two plays, OBJ, I don't think anybody, I think oftentimes, like Raul just said, it happened, X, Y, or Z years ago. I think over time, people have kind of forgotten just what it took to make that catch. Yeah. It's an unbelievable catch.
We've become numb to it.
We have, right. I think we have, but I do want to say that what Pickens did, that is a pretty unbelievable catch as well. I saw on like, and the reason I even posed this in here is because I saw on NFL Network, people were saying like, this might be better than the OBJ catch. No, like it's not close. It's a great catch, but let's not have recency bias. Let's not overblow it. And let's not cheapen what OBJ did on that play, because if we're talking circumstance, 1, it was a touchdown. 2, there was a penalty on the play. And 3, he's falling backwards with a ball that's disappearing behind him, and he barely gets a thumb and 2 fingers on it, really, to pull the thing in. It's just I don't know how you better that catch other than catching it with your thumb and pinky. Like,
well, every one-handed catch is
off of the side of a volcano. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And that's the standard, right? That's the standard we compare it to, for sure. Yeah, I think the visual of it with when Pickens went flat after the catch, I think the visual is what's tricking everybody into believing that they're on the same level. Great, right? Like it's like we talk about comparing players. You can say one player's better than the other without saying that guy's shit. Great catch by Pickens, but OBJ is like in a different stratosphere with that.
Yeah. Right. It's a ball coming down in it's a basket catch versus a ball with velocity.
Precisely. Like it's just different stratospheres. That's all.
Yeah. The good news is that we're halfway through our week 2 matchups, and Atlanta losing to the Rams at home. Barely. You're right.
Fuck the Rams.
But Rams started letting it go.
It was tough. Absolutely.
Jalen Ramsey saved the day.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
I'm going to save the day, and since we didn't highlight this one, move on to the next one. Seattle losing to San Francisco, and Seattle, unfortunately not getting their chance. I was trying to ride the hype. It wasn't happening. I was taking advantage of maybe the shakeup. Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's unfortunate news.
Yeah, let me shout out my fantasy team 2 weeks in a row. Dak Prescott in 2 leagues with Trey Lance as my backup. Solid shit, buds.
Ouch.
Though I was able to pick up Carson Wentz, and I played him in both of those leagues last week. So
Hey, you did
worked.
well then.
Hey, they may not win a lot of games, but Carson Wentz is going to put up some stats.
Yeah, fantasy's a different world.
Yeah,
Bengals,
OBJ definitely set the standard for the one.
Bengals in a close one, losing to the Cowboys at home. And it looks good. All of us unanimous here for Cincinnati. And, resident Cowboys fan here rooting
Cooper Crush,
for Cincinnati.
buddy.
Well, they
Cooper
lose
Crush.
Dak, and they're supposed to have a bounce back after the bullshit performance.
And then Brett Maher, whips out the old fucking Texas-sized sack, and then, dumps it out from 49 or something like that.
They're the Bungles.
It was over 50,
again.
wasn't it? Wasn't it like
52?
52, I think.
The Bungles again.
The Bungles.
Look, if they don't, like, we sort of talked about it momentarily, but like, it's a big issue right now that offensive line doesn't look like they're gelling, and Joe Burrow's not doing him any favors. And I know, like, as a young guy, it's hard not to want to hit the home run all the fucking time. It's a knock on a number of quarterbacks, right? And I see it in Washington with Wentz holding the ball too long sometimes. Burrow does the same shit, right? But I will say this: Burrow's got the fucking pelts on the wall that if he says, "Hey, let's relax, we're gonna figure it out," I think as a Bengals fan, I have to believe it. But that offensive line better gel pretty quickly, or Joe Burrow might be like unable to even say relax because he's not playing anymore.
I'm not going to forget that he had that knee injury too.
Right. I was just gonna quickly say that, and then we're gonna move on. My whole thing is, if we can't figure this out in the next week or two, and I'm Cincinnati,
it's gonna be trouble.
I'm benching Joe. I'm not gonna lie. I'm dead serious. And that's so drastic.
That's lukewarm as shit.
Oh, dude,
that's nuclear.
Dude, I'm not gonna. Yeah, like, you know what? Someone else.
You're saying from the perspective of you're not gonna risk it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. If my offensive line cannot, if my offensive line cannot protect my quarterback, I will protect my quarterback.
That's nuclear in an AFC North that has like a combined 4 wins.
That's warm. That's like a homeless dude's piss.
Dude, I hate it. I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see him get hurt either. But
he really is that fucking good.
Long season.
Yeah, I just don't think this man has to go out on his shield like that.
I think the Bengals are going to win 34-10 this week, and everybody's going to go, okay, maybe the Bengals are okay.
This is going to be a bounce back, absolutely.
It has to.
And it's in. Yeah, that defense is not going to allow there to be Anyways, all right. So Houston at Denver. I'm riding with Houston here, and Andy and Gary, fucking let's ride.
Let's ride.
Yo, fucking.
Did you? So I have to ask, Raul. Did you buy into what Houston looked like at the final score tying Indianapolis as anything to do with this game? Did you think Houston was better than you expected, so you picked them? Or was this more Denver looked like dog shit against Seattle?
I compared Houston to Seattle, and I think that Houston beat Seattle. And so that's step one. And then on top of that, I do believe that there's some instability in Denver. I do believe they have the tools to be a playoff weapon. I don't think that they're there yet for whatever reason that is, and I think that Houston can capitalize on that. They're an absolute. They're the underdog pick here for me. That's my Hail Mary. That's why I ended up 5-11 on the week. So.
That was a tough week, Bob. That was a tough week.
It is what it is. So.
If I'm the Broncos, Andy, I am fucking crumpling up and throwing away. Oh no,
Pennywise!
I just saw Pennywise.
Oh snap!
They had face painting at the homecoming tonight. All right, Pumpkin.
So I'm crumpling up and throwing away Nathaniel Hackett. This dude, I don't think he knows what he's like. I said earlier,
dispose of the whole human.
That I didn't think Vrabel knew what he was doing. Hackett is in over his head.
Are we seeing another +1 here,
dude?
He was pretty good as an OC,
dude. This kid goes out in week 1 and his plan A was to kick a 64.
We got to our mark. No, you fucking did.
So, but then, in Denver, in the fucking.
Who's saying 64 is
we're in the supermodel thin air, right? This Kate Moss air, and this dude won't kick a 59-yarder? Right. Does he even realize the difference between that 64 and that 59 is like 18 yards? Like, what are you doing, bud?
The record stood forever because of the thin air in Denver until Justin Tucker's monster kick.
Yeah, the record is set by a guy who's got me fucking 2 points in fantasy this season. Bro, this guy, I don't know what he's doing. He looks lost. There's a lot of weird, like, last second bullshit. And then we have to Russell fucking Wilson, dude. We know you're cringy, but this dude looks like a bystander. Like, he looks like the dude who walked into Walmart on Black Friday to buy a gallon of fucking milk. Like, he's just there for no fucking reason.
Hey, Ben?
At some point, you have to say, I'm Russell Wilson. We're going to do this. And we're going to win a football game. But I don't know if he's comfortable with doing that. I don't know if he's maybe Seattle shielded him a bit more than I gave credit.
I think we're going to get to see what Russell Wilson really looks like without an amazing coach. This is, Tom Brady spread his wings and won a fucking Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. Will Russell Wilson turn around and win a Super Bowl without Pete Carroll? Won't fucking happen, dude. And that's why I've said since the beginning that let Russ cook is going to get you fucking hot dog water. I've been saying that shit.
Well, you've been right, I think, because it's just he's not even trying though. Like, he's just fuck it, I'm getting paid, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, at some point when you're an established vet at the most important position on the team, you have to be like, no, Hackett, motherfucker. You don't know what you're talking about. We're doing this.
I think if you look a little closer too at some of what goes on in those games, and I mentioned this in our chat once, why is Javonte Williams not getting 20 carries a game? He breaks more tackles than most teams.
How are they not running the ball 35 times a game with that duo?
With him and Gordon, right?
Yeah.
But
one of the greatest 1-2 punches in the division.
I saw this in the Seattle game, and I chalked it up to maybe he's trying to show off in Seattle, right? He checked at the line of scrimmage a lot. I think that Russ is a guy, he's so me, self-centered, that he's going to go to the line of scrimmage and he's going to think, I'm just going to throw the ball, and he can't. There's another thing at play here in Denver. I think the weapons that everybody thinks that Denver has are a little overrated. I think Judy is fine. I think Sutton is fine, but I don't think either of them are plus guys. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of that here. They don't have an option at tight end to take any pressure off of the edges and threaten the middle of the field, and they're not running the ball enough. I think if they start running the ball more, let Russ play that play action, you're going to see where Judy and Sutton excel. It's man coverage, single high safeties where they can just run routes because they're both good route runners. They're struggling in Denver to figure out that balance. You said it, Andy. They should be running 35 times a game, and they're not.
Well, we counted on Russ to make those guys plus guys, though. That was the thing. I don't think anybody out there really thought that those two guys were like.
That was the talk in the offseason.
Oh, I definitely went into this season thinking that Jerry Judy was going to eat all year.
Yeah, because Russ was going to put the icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to do what Bridgewater couldn't do, what Locke couldn't do. That makes perfect sense. But, like, I think we're finding out more about Russell Wilson than we're finding out about those guys.
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. 100%. I don't want to get that twisted.
I think Russ, from an offensive perspective as a quarterback, as far as understanding the offensive scheme that he's operating in, as well as he's having to compete against in a defensive plays, I think that he just he's not able to think further than his nose. Maybe it's a familiarity thing, or maybe it's Pete Carroll's fucking holding this man's hand through the last few years of his career, and now he gets a chance to, You know, it's the irresponsible teenager that's just graduated high school and now having to go out on their own. You know what
Imagine
I mean?
an 814-year-old dude made your career.
We'll
Fucked
fucking
up.
see. We'll fucking
You
see.
better
And
think
maybe,
Earl Thomas,
and maybe
bro.
the difference is that
Must
he's
better
such
be
a,
paying Earl Thomas.
maybe the difference is that he is such a good stepdad and husband. Whereas Tom Brady leaves Billy Belly and
I love
says,
that take. I
"Man,
love that
fucking
take.
Giselle, fucking get to the fucking curb, bud.
Raising somebody else's
I
baby.
can't hear you all over all these fucking rings on my hand." So, anyways, Oakland,
Choked.
Chokeland.
yeah, Chokeland. I
Choked
appreciated
Vegas.
I appreciated the Oakland pick there. I deserve that. Anyways, so Vegas gets beat down here, and we see possibly one of the longest offensive plays.
I just realized I wrote Oakland for all three.
I assumed that you were doing that to make fun of me, so I
No,
tried to
I
play it
didn't.
off and
I
give you the
didn't.
benefit
I
of the
just
doubt.
realized I fucked up.
Yeah, but it plays though. Chokeland.
It plays Chokeland.
Be the
I just
choke
fucking realized
Vegas.
that.
That's right. You guys shit on
I
me
wish
last week
that
for
was intentional. It'd be
You
so much
shit
more
on me
fun.
last week for that, so you know,
I'll eat that one.
fuck you, Gary. And I still defended you. I was like, surely this was just
Oh,
a.
yeah. I
Anyways.
appreciate the effort.
We see one of the longest carries. You know, we don't need to jump into it again. But anyways, great fucking 20-second holding on to the ball as he
Yeah.
runs like a toddler into the end zone. JJ Watt's reaction to that on the sideline. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. Chicago at Green Bay, and as we all expect, Aaron Rodgers has a nice little warm-up game in the week and takes him down.
Still fucking owns them.
He still fucking owns the Chicago Bears. And speaking of getting owned, Vrabel, Tannehill, and even the King, Henry, getting absolutely fucking just annihilated by Buffalo in what seemed to be an expected shootout, as we were all unanimous here for the Bills to take another.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. Ben Evans has never had a quality football take though since I've known him. I've never seen one. I really haven't.
Oh, shit.
And on to the last game of the week. Minnesota takes down the W as we all stand unanimous against Philly. Sorry, I read that backwards. We all just lost
We all
there.
got it wrong.
Yeah, and so, you know, what do we say here about Kirk Cousins? And what do we say here about Jalen Hurts? Because obviously the initial hype behind Jalen Hurts, again, is like that he's just this fucking prolific quarterback that is going to be the – and I hate it so much.
We should have known better than to fucking put our chips in on Kirk Cousins on a goddamn primetime game.
No, I fucking
What are we
listened to
doing
too
here?
much Gary Freeze fucking analysis on
Oh,
the
you
Minnesota
subscribed
offense
to
this
the
year.
you paid
I
the
did, dude.
$3.99.
Yeah, I did. I'm a fucking
I
patron
must
on
have, dude.
Patreon.
I have 3 subscribers: Raul, myself, and my daughter.
And Kirk
Oh,
himself,
well,
yeah.
I clearly paid into it this week.
Fucking Kirk
I got
himself.
the 1 week 99 center.
Yeah. No, look,
I think that's the only thing.
this is. I mean, this is. I don't know what it is. Kirk on primetime. It is what it is at this point. He's 2-9. The only cool thing about it is I attended one of those primetime wins when Oakland was in DC for a Monday night game, and he shredded the Raiders. But that's one of his 2 wins in primetime. But what my biggest takeaway
Were they Oakland or were they Vegas?
They were at Oakland at the time.
Okay, just make sure.
But I tune into fucking Good Morning Football, and Kyle Brandt, who normally has pretty good take, says, I'm watching the game last night, and I'm thinking to myself, is Jalen Hurts the best football player on the planet? I think he is.
God,
Listen,
dude.
bub. Mina Kimes highlighted it on fucking NFL Live and said, like, Minnesota played the worst possible schemes against Jalen Hurts, and they scored 24 points. Like, how are you watching on the same night that Josh Allen hangs 41 on the Titans, Jalen Hurts puts 24 on a Vikings team that was clearly unprepared to play any semblance of football on Monday night, and you try to say that Jalen Hurts is the best football player on the planet, bro, that's like, you want to talk about an ice cold take. That's fucking December in Canada. Come on.
I think
Get
Hurts he's earned some praise this year. He's played pretty good football.
He's fine, but best player on the planet?
No, that aside. And I'm going to completely disagree with you about Kyle Brandt. I think he's fucking terrible hack. Like, I couldn't. Like, there was one reason I watched. That's fair. One reason I watched that show.
And she's gone.
And I said watched. I don't
got her own show now.
I think, fucking the other dude, Peter Schrager there, he's a hack too. I always liked Nate because, Nate was a lion. I always thought Nate's takes were kind of responsible too, but
yeah,
I feel like Brandt especially is there to do exactly what he just did with Hurts.
Maybe.
He's the guy that comes out in the Zumbas fucking with sparklers and shit, looking like he was going to jump the fucking Grand Canyon on a fucking bicycle. Like, this guy kills me, man. I think he's a fruit. Not in a disrespectful way. You folks at home are like, oh my God, you can't say that. Like,
you can't say fruit.
I don't know what sexuality is.
Dude, we're going to have this fucking cancel compilation one day, and it is going to be fantastic.
Dude, listen, I know, we're in that culture. Dude has been goofy, but so I'm not surprised he said that. Hurts, though, like, I do got to give Hurts props, man. I think Hurts – I watched the game against the Lions, obviously, week 1, and he has a target now in A.J. Brown, which is every young QB's friend. You get that big fucking wide receiver out there. He's still got Smith that can make some dynamic plays. They've got the good tight end work and the defense. That defense, I mean – They had some slips against Detroit, who we talked about earlier, who's offense.
I think that regardless of how you feel about Jalen Hurts before, we can all agree that he was probably considered to be underrated by us.
I think he's underrated. I mean, I have though. Like
Gary, I think back me up. I think all three of us were probably can agree that we've underrated what his ability is. I mean, last weekend was a great performance. And now, granted, sleepy defense. I'm not trying to question that, and I am trying to move on. But the
Hurts has always been one of those guys for me who's like, if
he was surprising.
If he could get the throwing game together, he's a football player.
So. It was great confidence. He was in his element this last weekend, and obviously it was a good showcase of his skills. But yeah, I didn't think he had it in him.
He's a football player.
That's fair. All right, on to the next segment here. What are we moving into? Are we moving into you want to just roll into week 3? Or
yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Well, before we do that, let's get into the most important part of our show. Do we have cat facts and everything lined up for tonight?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, then let's jump into our salute to service. Then we'll get cat facts and everything. Let's go. This week's salute to service is dedicated to Navy SEAL Brendan J. Looney, who passed away September 21st, 2010, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He was 29 years old from Owings, Maryland, assigned to West Coast-based SEAL team. He passed away in Ayatollah Village, Afghanistan, in a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter crash during combat operations. Also killed in the crash were Army Lieutenant Colonel Robert F. Baldwin, Army Sergeant Marvin R. Calhoun Jr., Army Chief Warrant Officer 2 Jonah D. McClellan, Senior Chief Cryptological Technician Collection David B. McClendon, Navy Special Warfare Operator 3rd Class SEAL Dennis Miranda, Army Staff Sergeant Josh P. or D. Powell, Navy Special Warfare Operator 2nd Class Adam Smith, and Army Chief Warrant Officer 3 Matthew G. Wagstaff. So, gentlemen, Lieutenant Looney, we have the watch. Salute, Senior. Now, On to this week's matchups. Briefly running into the first dumpster fire of the week as we look at Pittsburgh at Cleveland. And Gary on the island here. You're going to hang with Pittsburgh here. Hang with Tomlin and his boys.
Yep.
What are your thoughts here?
I got this one wrong.
Spoiler alert, you lost.
Yeah, already.
Already 0-1. I didn't believe Cleveland was going to be able to get the ball moving, and it sort of played out the way I thought it would. Both offenses struggled. Both defenses played well. Yeah. Cleveland had enough.
There's these little glimpses out of Brissett. And
Cleveland had enough, and the Steelers can't score points. And then the weird lateral, any of you in the betting game, the weird lateral at the end of the game beat Pittsburgh because they were plus 6.5. Pittsburgh lost. So
fuck people's nights up.
Najee Harris fucked everybody, I guess, that had Pittsburgh in it.
Pissed.
All right, on to the next one. Buffalo at Miami, and all unanimous here. And the
I was surprised we were unanimous. I honestly, of the three of us, I thought Andy was going to pick Miami.
I believe that you believe Andy was going to pick Miami.
I can't pick against the Bills from here on out. Unless I do. There's a part of me that I think Miami is a formidable opponent. And it's a divisional opponent, and it's in Miami. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is.
But I don't know, man. The Bills just look too good. They do.
This could be a high-scoring one, though. The over it's only 53. I might take the over on that.
We talked about it earlier. We've got some big defenders out here for Buffalo, so there is a potential for a shootout.
Dude, the Bills have given up like 3 layups all season.
Yeah, they really have. It's crazy.
So show me something, man. This is a big opportunity, I think, more than anything. Like, I think even if Miami wins this game, it's not like a huge thing against Buffalo. As long as Buffalo hangs in there and scores points, it's going to be more about Miami than anything. Or maybe they just flounder. But we'll see.
We shall see. And then we've got Las Vegas at Tennessee.
Oakland did again.
I'm just fucking living rent free in your head now, bud. And
Gary, you got balls.
I mean,
I don't like what I've seen from Vegas.
That's
me
fair.
either. I mean, they're 0-2.
That's fair, but Tennessee.
I was a Vegas believer to start the season. I don't like what I've seen from them, both from the offensive line perspective, but also the defense. Oakland's defense has caved at really bad times. Maybe I'm a little jaded by that late game collapse against Arizona.
I think it's an overreaction.
It could be. That's fair. I also think that, as Andy pointed out, like, I also think that the Titans are going to go back and they're going to look at what they did against Buffalo and say, we cannot fucking do that again. And Derrick Henry's going to get the ball between the guards fucking 12 times in this game, directly on bellies up the fucking middle. They're just going to start playing the middle of the field. I have to believe that the Titans are going to figure that running game out eventually, but I could be dead wrong on this.
Who planned for this to be an 0-2 versus 0-2?
Nobody.
I feel like Tennessee is booty.
Like, that's fair. They've looked like shit. They lost to the Giants and got skunked by the Bills.
I don't think that's going to change though. I think that there's fucking problems here.
I think this has the potential to be a really fucking good game between two 0-2 teams though. Like we might see it down to the wire.
Come down to a field goal.
Like what it was supposed to be for these two teams. Because these teams are supposed to be a team.
Just not at 0-2.
Right. All right. Atlanta at Seattle. And I'm going to be on the island here. And I'm good with it. I think that we've seen a good enough performance last weekend from Atlanta to say that they can beat Geno Smith and Seattle. I feel like you guys were probably still riding the Geno Smith hype, and I'm not.
If this was in Atlanta,
I'm riding the Cordero Patterson hype, just to be fair. So,
if this was in Atlanta, I'm picking Atlanta. I only picked this because it's in Seattle. Mariota looks okay. Cordero Patterson looks like he does. He's a monster when you just put the ball in his hands and let him just do whatever he does. Atlanta doesn't have a lot of weapons. Seattle can't figure out how to get the ball to fucking DK Metcalf, which confounds me as both a fantasy owner and an NFL fan.
Oh,
But if this was in Atlanta, I pick Atlanta.
Never passed on DK.
This is a coin flip to me, and because it's in Seattle, I picked Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, Gary did dub him quarterback proof.
I did.
Which I agree with.
And I was wrong.
So I took my hat off and flipped it on this game. I don't even really know how to pick the winner.
It came up home.
Atlanta looked very good against the Rams. But I think that reflects more upon the Rams and Seattle. I don't know. I just picked Seattle because they were home.
Yep.
On to the next one. Saints at Carolina. And Andy riding with fucking Carolina, dude. I kind of love that.
Yeah, from the bleachers.
I don't even know why I did it. This was another one of the.
I don't know why you did
it. On
either,
him with the Giants pick, and now you're picking him
idea.
against the Saints.
Hey, fuck the Saints, dude. They were home, man. That was what I went with again. I told you that to me there was a lot of weird fucking games this week.
Yeah,
where I was like struggling to figure out who I disliked more, and I almost think it was Carolina, but at the same time, Jameis looked fucking bad. Nah, dude. It's Carolina's winning this game. Raul, your boys are rising up.
I hope I'm wrong. I feel like for me, this was even a no-brainer for me. It was like, he must have been 12 in and said, he must have been 12 in and said, fuck it. That's fair.
That is fair.
I probably was.
All right, so this warms my heart, Andy. All right, so we're picking Minnesota. You're picking Detroit. Detroit over everything on the island. I'm with that, dude. I regret not picking the D.
I've picked them 2 weeks in a row now, which is never going to happen.
I don't think in the history of the shows we've ever had that happen.
Right. I picked them accurately 2 weeks in a row because I definitely picked Philly week 1 and I picked Detroit last week. So I don't know, man. And we're not seeing a lot of Minnesota. So I don't know, man. I don't think either one are very good football teams. So if you back me into a corner like that, even though I picked Minnesota to win the division, let's go. Day 12, baby.
I didn't pick Minnesota very confidently in this game.
I think after last weekend, you can't pick them confidently at all.
No, at least it's not in prime time. They'll probably win this one.
All right, on to the next one here. As Philadelphia goes to the Commanders, we're all unanimous here. Philly's going to take it down. I mean, what we saw to Jalen Hurts last weekend, I mean, of course, it's going to be expected. Even though Washington's at home, who knows? Is there a chance that Carson Wentz pulls it off?
Sure. I hope so for my fantasy team.
There you go. Fair enough.
The birds. I'm fucking sick of Philly already. I don't even want to see them win.
Same.
So sick of Philly.
Same. All right. And now going into Green Bay, Tampa Bay, we've actually got Gary on the Green Bay Island. I kind of am surprised by that.
Me too.
I surely thought we would be united here, and I thought if anybody was going to be on the island, it would have been Andy. Huh. Which is crazy because, divisional foe, I guess. But anyways, Green Bay.
Sorry,
Gary. No worries. Gary's on the island here.
I heard you talking about Philly, Washington as well. Yeah, you guys are spot on with it.
We're unanimous. So
I think Wentz is going to press,
but you're on the island here for Tampa Bay. So tell us.
This one I'm on the island with Tampa, and I'm going to get this one wrong because I picked it before the Evans suspension was announced. So I'm going to get this one wrong, but I'm going to stick with it. I just think that Green Bay can't score a lot of points, but I think that now with Evans being out, Godwin probably won't play. Fournette might not play, and Julio Jones is questionable. This might be like a 15-13 win for Green Bay. I would have picked like 17-13 Tampa Bay if Evans was playing. I think they would have had enough to score some points. I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm not going to try to change it live stream here, but I know that I'm going to get this one wrong.
I mean, that's just live waffling, but okay, let's move on.
I'm admitting to it.
Yeah,
I made the pick, but I know I'm going to get it
That
wrong.
doesn't make it any more noble.
Yeah,
it just means that you're going to
top
get shit on.
Live waffling.
So,
Also,
Jesus Christ.
you know you picked. I don't even understand. Dude.
Yes, I know I picked Tampa Bay. I just know that I'm going to get it wrong.
You didn't
Or no.
pick Tampa Bay.
Why
You
did I
picked
think I was on
Green
Tampa Bay Island?
That's why I was.
All
All right, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
Watch
I'm an
this
idiot.
film back and see how fucking confused I was.
I'm an
during the
idiot.
whole-
I was wondering why you were making that face. I thought you guys were Green Bay and I was Tampa. I'm an idiot.
It happens, man.
I thought I picked Tampa Bay.
We're all bays.
Yeah, whatever. I'm an idiot.
None of us are Guantanamo.
Facts. Anyways, let's fucking move on from that. Gary on the island with Houston, and I was honestly kind of surprised because I was thinking about actually picking Houston here, but you know, I want to believe that Justin Fields is going to get it done at home.
They're at home. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
That's
that's the edge. Fair enough.
Chicago don't have enough.
Fair enough.
I don't think either of them have enough. One's at home, one's not. I don't know.
13-10, Houston.
All right,
me,
coin flip. We're just going home field advantage and calling it a day here.
I'm calling rain.
On to the next one.
Kids.
You want rain in Chicago again?
Oh, dude, fucking slipping, sliding in the end zone. Justin Fields is a whole 12-year-old after a good W there. So, Gary's going with New England, and at Gillette, and Andy and I picking Baltimore here.
Yeah. Well, Baltimore's a good one. Like, I mean, they blew one last week against the team that's talented. I don't see it for New England. I don't believe. Are
you giving them home field advantage here, Gary, or what is this?
No, this is Belichick against Lamar Jackson. I think this is going to be in the teens, and it's going to come down to New England being able to run the ball against the Ravens. The Ravens they're not great against the run. Last year they were okay against the run, and they haven't looked incredible. Even against the bad Jets team, they were chunking them a little bit. They got behind, had to throw the ball a little more, but I don't see it. For Baltimore going into Gillette, I think Belichick's going to scheme it up. They've got a lot of guys that can single up on the outside and just play the middle of the field and take some of that stuff away from Lamar Jackson. They might have two spies on every play.
I like him to build off the game he had. He had a really good game last week.
He did have a good game.
I think to be a player like Lamar Jackson and you have a really great game, I think fantasy-wise he scored over 50 points. And then you lose to a young QB. Like
Miami played a very reckless style of football defensively against Lamar Jackson, though.
Sure. I
don't see Belichick doing that.
Lamar Jackson's hard to play against. I mean, he's a fucking wild card. I don't know. To me, if I'm Lamar Jackson, I do what I did last week. We come up short. We let a team, catch up from behind, and now I wanna take it out on a bad team.
On to the next one.
All
right. So all of us unanimous here in the Chargers having a bounce back game, and Jacksonville not being able to sustain that against a very tough Chargers defense.
I have a question for you two. If Chase Daniel is starting for the Chargers, do you want to change your pick?
Yep. Sure do. Sure do.
Hold on, though. Is Keenan Allen playing?
That's another good question.
That makes a difference to me because
we saw it last week.
Mike Williams was great last week, but I don't know how great he can be with Chase Daniels.
Yeah.
So I think,
maybe.
The Chargers might have to shut him out if Chase Daniels starting.
Check back. Listen, that. We knew that as soon as that
happened, an L next week is all I'm saying, boys.
The game swung from 6-3 only because Chase Daniel took first-team reps in practice today. They haven't even announced him as the starter, and it swung by a field goal.
I think, and I'm going to be an island on this one, I think, with most people. I think they should have taken Herbert out of the game.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're in the game and you're against the Chiefs. Like we're looking at a full season.
That's a warm take, but
it is a warm take. It's like
division flow.
You
To
have
go to
to
2-0 in the division.
have to look at, I think, the long term.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's just warm.
He was holding his ribs for 3 or 4 plays in a row.
Yeah.
And he kept getting hit.
You're not wrong.
I don't know.
That's just warm.
That's my Burrow take, just for a different team. But yeah,
I think it comes with a risk. So, like, I think if you're in a game that you, no matter what, win with Herbert, you have to keep him. I think with a game where you might lose either way.
How many quarterbacks have we seen this shit happen for, though? Like, the reason why I'm so adamant about Joe Burrow getting fucking benched is RG3.
RG3 wasn't going to be successful without the.
Was RG3 not the coolest fucking commentator of all time, though?
Dude,
see some shit this dude is saying?
Yes, I've got a list, actually.
My God, you really do? I do.
This. I do. So
you might as well throw it right
There's
now.
An orgy in the end zone.
Dude, my
Penix
God.
picks.
Premature snapulation.
That's the best one.
Big Penix energy.
Penix energy.
Them lips are wider than Tyrone Bigum's. HBO, help a brother out. And Zach Wilson was always committed to the Cougars.
Always committed to the Cougars, dude. I listen. I'm
here for it.
I never would have thought that this would have been good.
This is the guy that showed his dick to a waitress in the Denny's on his bachelor party.
Right. Who the fuck goes to Denny's for their bachelor party?
The fucking man of the
let
people.
alone show your dick to a waitress in a Denny's.
Which is funny because, like, you know, my wife actually went to school with him. He's always been like a spoiled cunt.
Listen,
yeah.
If I had $1,000 in my wallet, I wouldn't go to Denny's. This like Denny's?
Yeah. What was his second year in the league, I believe. After he got his big rookie deal, went to a Wendy's for his bachelor party and showed his dick to a waitress.
Jesus, dude.
The
man never got in trouble for it though.
Well, there's some privilege to being an NFL quarterback.
There's some privilege for being in the Dan Snyder sphere, apparently.
Shout out to Deshaun Watson.
Christ.
Getting dunked on by Mia Khalifa.
Oh, God. Good Lord. All right. San Francisco at Denver. And Gary's on the island with San Francisco here.
You've been on a lot of islands tonight, man.
Yeah. I noticed that when I was putting the games together. I'm going to get this one right, I promise. San Francisco,
I think you are going to get it right.
No, I'm going to get this right in terms of my take. I'm not going to
be
like, I had Tampa and I actually had Green Bay. But to me, San Francisco is a different team with Jimmy G. Nice. Trey Lance, I hate – I don't want to say that, like, an injury is a blessing, but, like, that team got better because Trey Lance isn't playing football right now. I think Trey Lance has this like potential to kind of make this rise, but he's not playing good football right now. He wasn't playing good football. Jimmy G makes that team better, and I don't like what I've seen from Denver so far.
Yeah,
and it's in San Francisco, I believe. No, this one's San Fran's on the road.
No, I think it's in San Fran.
Is it in San?
No, you're right. It's in.
No, it's in Denver.
But I just think San Fran's a better team with Jimmy G at the helm.
Yeah, agreed.
And I don't like what I've seen from Denver.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it was kind of a. I think
this is Denver's get right game though. Like
against that defense,
because if they don't,
if you get right against that defense, you got right.
I picked Denver to win the Super Bowl.
I know.
If they don't,
they better get right.
They have to get right in my mind. So if they don't get right,
they better
against a tough opponent at home.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with it. And no, I agree. Real quick though, do you think that San Fran should have just started Trey Lance last year?
No, I think they should have drafted Mac Jones like they intended to originally.
No, we're not talking a what if scenario with who they drafted. Do you think no? Really, last year,
No.
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 If they wanted Trey Lance to be their guy, though,
he wasn't ready this year. They felt the pressure to start him this year.
So do you want him? So okay, so you want
He
him
should
to
have sat
learn
2. He should have sat
3
2
years.
years.
Okay.
2 years. They should have. They should have honestly let Jimmy play out the 2 years, these 2 years on his contract, and then released him next year, and then it's Trey's team. They felt a lot of pressure to play Trey Lance, and
instead they decided to pay Jimmy G $350,000 to finish a game and win it. So good for him.
Yeah.
You know,
dude. How about the incentives in his contract? Good grief, he's about to hit so many markers too.
Oh, it's stupid.
Because I mean, he's going to play all these games. It's a good team. They might win some playoff games. That dude's going to get paid on incentives.
Yeah, my
all right. On to the last row games here. Kansas City at the Colts. There's no reason to fucking talk about this game at all. Cincinnati at the Jets, and we do have a house divided here. Andy's riding with the fucking J-E-T-S Jets.
Where's
Jets.
Fireman Bob.
I know. So you're just not sold on.
The Bengals are fucking showing their whole asses.
No.
In like the Jets are playing quality football. They've got some things going on. I mean, I don't think they're playing great football, but I think they're playing improved football. They can run the ball. They have a couple competent running backs. They have some competent wide receivers. The defense hasn't looked terrible. So
yeah.
I just as bad as our boys, the fucking Cincinnati Bengals, look like it. This, and it's in Jersey, so yeah,
fair enough.
Again, that's one of my picks that I knew was like one of my underdog picks. However,
this is kind of like what you looked at for Denver. Like, this is the game that the Bengals, if they're going to get right, it's got to be this week.
Sure,
got to be this week. Agreed. You can't drop a game to the Jets. You can't drop a game to the Dak-less Cowboys, and you can't drop a game to the Steelers, who are clearly rebuilding, and think that the season's going to be okay if you drop all of those 3 games. So this has to be the get-right game.
All right, onward.
I agree.
There's a Jets fan.
Did you just put a box?
Onward, Rams, and unanimous here against the Rams. So, I mean, even though the Cards are at home, we're going to stand united.
I think we're disrespectful for this.
Yeah.
A little bit, because the Rams haven't looked good.
Yeah.
And not that the Cards have looked great, but we're in Arizona.
Here's what I have to say about that. I said what the fuck I said. So we're gonna go Rams, and that's the way it's gonna be. And we are gonna move. We are in fact gonna move on to the next.
That
game.
Defense isn't playing very good football. I think this is their get right game too.
And last but not least, the fucking dumpster fire, the fucking clown shoe soup extraordinaire game of the week. Cowboys in New York against the Giants.
And it's on Monday night.
And it's Monday night. What a fucking great way to cap off this fucking
Andy
shit.
3 weeks in a row.
3 weeks. They should have put it on Thursday on fucking Prime, because nobody wants to watch that shit anyway, dude.
3 weeks in a row. The Giants.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know how it happened the first week. I don't.
Daniel Jones.
I came to that conclusion. Listen, man. No Dak. CeeDee Lamb fucking sucks without Dak.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Without Dak.
Fucking slopping toppy last week.
Yeah, didn't I get in trouble for saying CD sucks
he's
a week
terrible
ago?
Without Dak.
He's terrible with Dak.
No, he's not terrible with Dak.
Fucking terrible.
See, that's where I draw the line. Dalton Schultz banged up and hasn't been good without Dak. Barkley's been decent. Pretty good, better than decent.
My dad's saying that for my brother.
Well, it sucks to have a ginger kid, doesn't it? Like, I don't know personally what it's like to have a ginger kid. I know what it's like to be a ginger kid.
I just want Cooper Rush to go about winning another game against a divisional rival. He just needs to float right now. I'm not riding the Cooper Rush hype. He is not going to get us anywhere. We just need to try to survive.
I just picked 3 teams from New York or New Jersey, and that'll probably never happen again. So, cheers.
Ugh. Yeah, that's a sad truth that Amari Cooper was the best wide receiver on that
Oh, he
roster.
looked like a fucking man on a mission last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just everywhere. Every and that's going to be the
He
thing.
probably
with
was
Steelers
pissed about
defense.
dropping the onside
That
kick.
man is a
against the
red
Jets.
Well, having no Watt in there completely alters their defense.
Yeah,
At
Pittsburgh's
every level.
different.
So,
Yeah.
but he was open everywhere.
Yep.
Actually, there was a part where like Kareem Hunt had to have been the most disappointed fucking person in the NFL this week, where he had a whole drive where they let Nick Chubb relax, and he was inside the 10 with like 5 attempts. It was probably 3, but it felt like 5, and he could not get in.
Couldn't punch it.
It's not as easy as beating up a chick. Like,
It's a proven fact.
it is.
And on to the last couple segments of the night. Let's get into some cap or facts. And for our first cap or facts, week 2 overreaction edition, the Jacksonville Jaguars will win the AFC South. Facts. I think that there's enough instability in that division that fucking happens. We saw a little glimpse of life coming out of Duval last weekend, and I think it's possible only because the teams around them are also not fucking great.
Who comes up with these questions? Cap. Not Cap.
By design.
But it's Cap.
All right, Gary?
I'm gonna stick with the Titans, but you mentioned it just a moment ago. This division is bad enough that the Jags might win it at 8-9, but I'm sticking with the Titans, so I'm gonna say Cap on this.
Fair
It'd
enough.
be awesome if they do.
Oh, it'd be great. It'd be great.
Yeah, get some market value here for
Oh God,
old Sunshine.
something down there in fucking
Something.
shit.
Jalen Hurts will win NFL MVP. Cap.
You should have
And
let
that's-
Gary go first.
Dude. Dude, I swear to God, if you say facts, I'm getting off of this fucking podcast.
I'm not
I
saying facts.
am exiting the chat.
I don't even think he's a good quarterback. This is
I am.
fucking Cap.
Exiting the chat.
I'm so tired of this fucking propping up Jalen Hurts. He was throwing against I throw for 400 yards against that Vikings defense on Monday night. They were
I feel like you give
so
yourself
bad.
a lot more credit than
They
you
were
should, but-
so bad on Monday night.
Yeah.
I
As a
throw
person
for
who's seen you
400
throw a
yards.
football before, I don't understand. Not 400.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, it's Cap. No, it's Cap, and it's not because I don't believe that the Eagles can be good enough to put him into a position to that, and it's not that I don't believe his stats can be good enough to put him in a position to that. I just think this is probably Josh Allen's year to win
Yeah.
MVP.
And it'll be well deserved. We've
They
seen
look
it.
really fucking good right now.
Yeah. Firing on all cylinders.
Cleveland?
What are we
That's
talking about?
that's bold. That's bold.
That's a stretch.
That's bold. Cleveland's going to be the Bengals. They're going to the Super Bowl.
What?
That's a bold statement.
Let's move on to the next one because that's a strong no for me. Doug.
That's it. We had two. We're going to move on to Damn K.
Let's do it. So, Gary, let's roll to you for DMK.
Yeah, it's Herbert, man. The throw that he made after not being able to run 1 yard for a first down on third down, and we watched him he threw it away in disgust. Like, my body is failing me. He just dumped the ball 5 yards down the field and gave up on a play, and then comes back and throws a fucking piss rod to DeAndre Carter inside the 10 in that game. I mean, that shows toughness and the fact that the dude's got some of the best arm talent in the fucking game. And for that,
Stafford-esque.
Damn K.
Stafford-esque.
For sure,
one
dude.
could say. Andy, what's your damn K?
I'm finally. I don't know if I've ever done this on this show before, so I'm going to reluctantly, because I don't like to really give my own team the spotlight. But I'm going to go.
Jared Goff. Please be Jared Goff.
It's
Please
not going to be Jared Goff. It's never going to be Jared Goff. I'm going with Amon-Ra St. Brown. 8 catches in the receiving touchdown in 6 straight games. First wide receiver ever. Ever.
And then goes into fucking conferences talking about other players that were picked before him and saying, I didn't see him getting much play time. I fuck with that confidence.
Yeah. And to be from where I was at the beginning of the season, I didn't think he was bad. I just didn't believe the hype because I thought there was a lot of circumstances that made him the guy he was. But just carrying the torch through the first 2 weeks this season and getting shit done, it's about fucking time. Damn K.
Damn K. So mine, I'm going to step out of football entirely just because I am a huge fan of Becky Hammon taking down a world championship WNBA, getting coach of the year, first year coaching, a byproduct of not only her own efforts, her own WNBA career, but also an understudy under the great Greg Popovich.
Best coach of all time.
Absolute fucking best coach of all time. Ooh, suck a dick, Phil. I said what I said. So Becky Hammon getting her first year coach of the year, also taking down a championship. Absolute excellence at every level from a coaching perspective. Damn K.
I fuck with that pivot too.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Fuck with that.
Just like to keep you on your toes. And now
I'm there.
Onward and upward.
The fucking laughter.
I can't, dude. It's never not going to be funny. All right. Same order. Gary, on to you.
Oh, man. So I gotta shit on Jim Irsay again. Honestly, I'm gonna because
man, let this man live.
I am, dude. It's listen. You spent the whole off season trying to tell everybody that would listen that the Indianapolis Colts of 2021 were Carson Wentz away from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that bringing Matt Ryan in, the astronaut, the Navy SEAL, was going to fix all the woes. You were going to win the AFC South. You were going to win the AFC, and you're a Super Bowl contender.
Mm-hmm.
You're 0-2, or I'm sorry, 0-1-1. You should be 0-2. You were fortunate to even tie the Houston Texans, and you got a fucking bagel from Duval County. For that, Jim Irsay, quarterback was not your problem. Congrats, Brian.
Yo, my guy.
I mean, the amount of pride that went into that. Andy, on to you.
Yo, I gotta double back again. Sort of like Gary, I gotta go with fucking Nathaniel Hackett, man. I don't know what this dude is doing. Like, got to Colorado, smoked some of that legal. He's got the mushrooms. He's out on the fucking river grabbing toads. Listen, my guy is not an NFL head coach, man. There's some things. There's some things in sports and in life, or in the NFL in general, that I cannot get over, and I cannot get over your plan A in Seattle being to kick a 64-yarder, while your fucking plan C, D, E is to not kick the 50 fucking 9 in Denver. Like to me, that is the coaching mistake that builds up your entire profile, and I will, even if you win 12 games, I'll not get over that. Like, there's no fucking way, because that's that's the kind of lapse that can't happen. So, thanks, Brad. I'm off if that thing's asking. So fucking cancel.
Congrats, Brian.
Oh man,
Congrats, Brad.
Down by the river on. Or even down by Del Rio.
Down by the river
Down
has got to
by
be a
Del Rio.
fucking segment, dude. What are we doing here? How do we miss
I'm
that?
not gonna lie, I just made that up. But anyway, so mine is real simple.
I dig it.
It goes to one of the most overrated fucking teams going into this year, and I said it and I meant it, and I will have to willingly eat some crow here because I thought that some of the additions with Dalvin Cook being healthy and Adam Thielen being an addition here that we'd see something out of this team, but to go and get your shit pushed in by the Philadelphia Eagles, yeah, you fucking deserve this L this week, bud. I don't know what to tell you, but it was an absolute embarrassment of an offensive scheme, of an offensive performance, and then to turn around and then get your shit pushed in by the Eagles. Even though they were at home, and even though Jalen Hurts did put up a great game, 10 times out of 10, Minnesota should be the better team there. I mean it. I see you huffing and puffing over there, Andy. I mean it. They should be the better team. Look at the weapons. Look at the people.
I agree. I do.
So for that, I say fucking congrats, Brian.
Congrats, Brian.
Down by Riveron.
Listen, I'm glad you brought that up. I have one quick aside from that. I saw something. I do, of course, but I saw something from Justin Jefferson this weekend that worries me about him. He quit on 2 routes that resulted in interceptions. He's a guy who very much was kind of he was the driving force behind. We've got to get an offensive minded coach. We've got to do this. We've got to. If you're quitting on routes as a prima donna wide receiver, when your quarterback is throwing you the ball on those routes to the right spot and they both end up as interceptions, that's a problem for me. And I don't know how they handle that in the locker room. Maybe it just gets washed away because it was a bad performance and they can just move on from that Monday night performance. But I know as I played in high school, but I played quarterback. If I'm throwing a ball when you should be crossing the defender's face and you run and stand still behind the defender and I throw an interception, I'm probably pretty pissed at you. If you don't high point a fade and the defender goes up and gets the ball and you're standing there watching him catch the ball, I'm pretty fucking pissed off at you. I don't know what's going on with Justin Jefferson. It might just be one of those anomalies from this week. But
I think it's absolutely an anomaly.
It was one game.
It has to be.
If it continues to be a thing, I think that'll be a different story.
Sure.
Right.
But listen, I don't want to sound like this isn't me defending Kirk because Kirk played like shit.
No, you're talking specifically about Justin
Troy
Jefferson
Aikman
here.
pointed
No,
it out.
I agree with you. No,
Right.
I agree with you.
But
What
Troy
you're saying.
Aikman pointed it out in live time. Like Justin Jefferson gave up on this route.
Sure.
Justin Jefferson gave up on this fade.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on. If he was just, it
He's
has
kind
to
of
be
a fair weather receiver there. Yeah.
It has to be an anomaly.
No, I agree with you. It's probably not an anomaly as much as it was a thing that happened in that game.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe this is something to watch. Maybe when
Maybe
the going gets tough, I mean, maybe he turns into a fucking snowflake. I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
You hope not, as a Vikings fan.
I hope not as an NFL fan because
Right. As an early favorite in the NFC North, even.
Right. When the guy eats, I mean, everything is great. So,
Well, right. And I mean, how many people were talking about him as maybe the best wide receiver in football and maybe the number 1 fantasy pick this year?
And that was so premature, I think, to be
Sure.
Like
I think I picked Jamar Chase for the record.
This.
But it was the conversation.
There was the Jamar Chase thing too, where people were like Jamar Chase might be top 3 receiver in the NFL, and I'm like, he's not. I got to see it more than once.
It's just something I saw that.
I'm with that. We've already gone over that, but yeah.
Let's see it more than once. Jefferson, I love Jefferson. I thought Jefferson was my favorite receiver in that draft. I've talked about that plenty of times in the show.
Yeah, you and I were in lockstep on that.
But give me a couple years before, especially before I put him before somebody like Adams. I mean, we've got to see it. We still got DeAndre Hopkins running around there.
Eventually.
He's hiding from a 6-game.
Eventually, he's going to run around on the field.
But he's going to come back and get 7 touchdowns.
I know.
Down there.
I mean, he's
doing his thing.
He's a lock. So, but I'm with you, Gary. I thought Jefferson was a fuck up this week. And hopefully he doesn't continue to do that.
All right, what else you got, Gary?
And Diggs, man, we're missing Diggs. So real quick, did any of you guys see the Diggs interview with They were asking him questions about him and Tyreek?
No,
nobody saw that. So he was being interviewed, asking questions about who do you think runs the faster 40, you or Tyreek? Diggs said himself, which he's lying. I think he knew he was lying. He smiled a little bit. But then, actually, he gave most props to Tyreek across the board on things that I didn't think he should have given him to. Like they asked who do you think's the better route runner, and he said Hill, which I don't think it's right. I think Diggs is the better route runner.
Diggs is one of the 2, 3, 4 best route runners in the league.
So Diggs did say, I think
that's humiliating.
His speed,
but he must have been clowning on the.
But board. I think he said because he was pretty serious about this part. He said because of Tyreek's speed, and he runs funny. Which I've heard a couple people say he runs weird.
Dude, he does run very awkwardly.
So throws people off. Yeah. But then he lied at the end where they asked who's the better 1-2 combo. You or Gabe.
You and Gabe or
Waddle and Tyreek, and he took him and Gabe, which is I don't agree with. But
I mean, it
was kind of I love those little NFL things. So I did have a question for you guys though, leading off the Diggs thing. I saw it somewhere. Who's harder to game plan for? If you're playing the Buffalo Bills, Allen or Diggs? I think this is quite easy, but it's apparently a question.
Allen or Diggs, huh?
You guys are thinking about this. I didn't even think there was going to be much thought.
I mean, I think it's Allen.
So this is what concerns. Go ahead, Raul. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's Allen simply because Diggs is one of the weapons that Allen can and will use.
Yeah.
If you shut down Diggs, Allen has fucking 4 or 5 other people that he will and has thrown to precisely and on point.
Right.
It will happen.
I think it's no brainer, Allen. And that's nothing against Diggs. I just think Allen does so much from running and throwing.
Yeah, but you kind of know, right? Like,
but Diggs only gets the ball if Allen throws it to him.
Right.
Yeah, but Diggs, so
Allen touches the ball every play.
Here's my foundational argument for Diggs, though, is Diggs does a lot of different things within that offense, right?
Sure.
He catches the short, he catches the intermediate, he catches the deep ball, and you never know where he's going to be. But he's also a guy who complements other people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't often see, like, the thing that people love about guys like Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs and like T.O., right, during his time. T.O. was maybe the biggest prima donna, but that was the first motherfucker to be blocking down the field for somebody else.
Sure.
That was the first dude to be running a crackback on a run play. Those sorts of things. So, like, the things that Diggs does within the offense, and in the plays that they play off of it, I don't know how many times I've seen where they show Diggs a motion into the play, and he'll fake a crackback, and then he's gone on a route that goes away from the coverage. I
Harder
think
to game plan for Diggs or Allen.
Allen.
Yeah.
Allen. Okay. So
Jesus. Okay. So we did all that just to agree.
But it's not as clear cut. It's not as clear cut.
I agree with all what you're saying. I still think it's clear cut. I mean,
like I'm not doubting how prolific Diggs is with that offense. No one's arguing that. But the point is that Allen can still win the game without Diggs. Period.
I don't think that's that's as true. I don't believe so. I think Diggs has done a lot for Allen, and Allen is. I think those two together have just. I don't think it's as clear cut as you. I disagree that it's clear cut, but I do agree that Josh Allen is the unicorn. He's the mutant. He's unbelievable. Stephon Diggs. Maybe I'm just still thinking about the fact that I got it so wrong with that trade.
We got it so wrong.
We got it so wrong with that trade. We were in lockstep that was a bad trade. But he's been unbelievable for the Buffalo Bills.
I don't think I don't remember the bet. I think I remember thinking Adam Thielen was the better receiver.
I agreed.
Yeah.
That was kind of what we talked about, right? Adam Thielen was a better receiver. It was too much to get Diggs.
Good.
Right. In the first round pick was too much and all that. But we were very
and then
wrong.
we got to see Stephon Diggs with a better quarterback.
Well, Diggs was a dickhead in Minnesota though too. Like he did.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Diggs did play with fucking Bridgewater and Case Keenum.
So he had like a T.O. attitude and without being T.O. talent.
For time is Hurts or Tua?
Christ.
Hurts or Tua?
Right now? Is that the question?
Right now.
If you're building a team?
Right now.
Oh, if I'm building a team, or are we just saying on the
if you were the let's say if you were the Buffalo Bills right now, or the Kansas City Chiefs, or the Chargers, or you're a good team.
Hold on.
Not one of those specifically, but one of the top. If you're a top team in the NFL, and you got to choose Tua or Hurts, I don't want to get too much into one specific team because of personnel.
I think roster makeup matters, but I think if I'm saying roster makeup matters, then I'm picking Tua.
Yeah, same.
I think it's Hurts. I think I take Hurts.
I think that for me, I hesitate a little bit because if you go to Buffalo, I think Buffalo embraces the ability of the dual threat quarterback more than.
Yeah, but don't get into that. I don't want you to get into that.
I know, right? If it's roster makeup agnostic,
I just want it to be a top team. If you're a top team,
look at them current roster.
You got to take Tua. I want a guy that can drop back, hit his top of his hitch, and hit a wide receiver in stride, and that's what Tua can do.
And I think I want a guy who can play the game and make more plays.
That's fair. Here's a Capper facts from the chat.
AFC East is poised to overtake the AFC West as the most dominant division.
Okay.
Listen, if Vegas and Denver continue down the path that they're on, and the Chargers don't figure out how to not Charger games,
then we have grossly overestimated
the AFC West.
So, but my counter to that could be,
but the Jets are still in the AFC East.
The AFC East could be this though too. The AFC East could be the Bills steamroll the fucking Dolphins, right?
Yeah, in 2 weeks we might be singing a very different tune.
And then all of a sudden, the Bills are just a juggernaut.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are good, and the Jets and the Patriots suck.
Yeah. We could be singing a very different tune in 2 weeks.
I'm going to say Cap.
That's probably fair.
That's definitely Cap.
Probably fair.
Even though I like the Dolphins. I think I have more faith in the Dolphins than most people. I have zero faith in the Jets and the Pats.
I'm going to say facts.
Oh, I like it.
I'm going to say facts. I think that there's enough uncertainty with the AFC West right now to say that the AFC East could do it.
I don't know. Listen, maybe. Listen, if the Dolphins beat the Bills this week,
that opens a lot of things.
That fucking Pandora's box, kid.
That opens a lot of
because
things.
I think we all agree that the Bills, even if they lose to the Dolphins, are going to be really, really good anyways.
Yeah.
But if the Dolphins
suddenly our perspective on Miami changes.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
Capper
question.
facts.
That's a good question.
Gary's is Capper facts.
I'm still Cap because I don't believe the Patriots are going to win a lot of games this year. I picked them. I think I even picked them to be a wild card playoff team. I don't like what I've seen from them for 2 weeks, so I'm probably wrong about that.
That's fair. All right, well, we have another house divided there. Any closing thoughts before we bring this 2-hour-long podcast to a close?
Yeah, this is the point where we start to see what teams are. To me, we've gotten through 2 weeks of nonsense. We've gotten through 2 weeks of some teams playing their preseason. Week 3, 4, 5, I think we're going to start to see teams that we thought were going to be good that are actually going to be bad, and then those teams that started the season off bad that are actually going to be good are going to start to. And I'm looking at you, Bengals. This is the week, right? I'm looking at you, Rams. This is the week you start to get right.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen in weeks 3, 4, and 5, we might be looking at seasons lost for those teams that we thought were going to be good.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like I'm actually I don't even want a closing point besides that. I think that I've been a big advocate for week 2, even week 3, sometimes being silly.
Sure.
But the teams that are going to make a statement, you can't lose too many games.
Yeah.
And sometimes we see the teams that aren't going to make a statement win too many games. But if you're the teams that are going to be there in the end, you might be able to afford the first two, maybe the first 3 weeks. You can't afford 4, 5, 6. Like you have, even with the extra game, you've got to get into it. So these teams, Cincinnati, Oakland is another one.
Yep.
You guys have to.
Oakland.
And the Titans
Oakland.
for Gary too, because Gary picked the Titans. Like these are
I
teams
did. I
that-
picked the Titans. It's time for them to
Yeah, they're Oakland forever.
You
They're never
picked
going to be
the
Las
Oilers?
Vegas again because we have the graphic. So they're from now on. These three teams definitely, but amongst others, there's others. I mean,
Yeah, there's lots of things to worry about.
also, another
Oakland-
final thought I have is, guys, wish me luck tomorrow. 41 degrees. I have a golf tournament bright and early. Going to be.
Oh, is it really
spectacular.
that
My
cold up
dad
there?
told me it was in the 40s today. Unbelievable.
So
Mother
so
Nature in September is shitting on you guys.
the low.
Fuck.
The high tomorrow is like 56. The low is 41. We get a frost warning, and I got a fucking golf tournament bright and early.
That's unbelievable.
So I had a buddy at a golf tournament today, 46, and he's like, "Wear gloves, dude." So we got the gloves on deck. Yeah.
What if I told you that the heat index today here was 102?
Jesus fucking Christ. Well, dude, I went to Indiana last weekend, right? And that's only 9 hours over to the west. And I had like a 10-degree spike. Like I'm in my brother's wedding in the tux, and it's like almost 90.
It's 40. Gary Free Sr. says it's 42 right now. It is 85 degrees right now in Austin.
He said it's 42, huh? Is it 40? It probably is 42. I haven't been outside in a while.
That's disrespectful, is what that is. And that's why I don't live in cold weather.
I got 42.
That is absolutely unacceptable. So
I'm in the hoodie, kid. Fuck.
yeah, I mean, I should be going sleeveless still.
I came downstairs this morning and I left the kitchen windows open, and I was like, shit, it's cold. It's pretty cold.
So, Aaron, I don't know if Gary's there to post your comment, but he says, why is it that when Browns fans think it's their year, it's endearing and they're true fans, but when the Cowboys fans say the same, they're delusional and annoying? It's simple. It's because, one, Cowboys fans have actually won things that are of value, and two, it is because we are the most obnoxious about it.
Well, it's because they say it every year.
Yeah.
You know, the Cowboys could have a fucking. Oh, there's a question. So the Cowboys could have a fucking bomb go off at their first practice and lose every starter, and they'd still be going, "We the boys."
We the boys.
The Browns could get fucking an upgrade at every position and still be like, we're probably going to win 9 games.
Yeah.
It's just the mentality of the fans.
And I appreciate that about Browns fans.
Right. Listen, there was the guy like a
They've been
decade
beaten
ago,
into perpetual misery.
lifelong Browns fan died, and he said he wanted the Browns
to be his pallbearers.
So they could let him down one more time.
One more time.
Love that man.
Dude, the rivers in Cleveland are flammable.
Well, yeah, dude. Have you ever fucking been to Cleveland? I just drove through Cleveland the other day. Shit smells like cat piss.
Yep.
No offense.
Tough city.
You know, Cincinnati's another one, man. That Ohio River, if you fucking, dude, you dip a toe in there, it turns into a fucking fin, bro. Like, you get instant webbing. That shit's not
all right.
With.
I think with all of that being said, I want to do anything other than continue discussing that. My name is Raul Herrera. I got fucking Andy down here. I got Gary over there. Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week at Tuesday night. We're fucking out of here.